Welcome back to The Wealth Effect. I'm your host, Green Moon, and today we're talking about why financial literacy is not enough. For people who think the solution is just one more workshop, more online courses, more books sitting on the shelves, financial literacy is not enough. You can know everything there is to know about money, how compound interest works, how to invest in index funds, and still be broke, still stressed, and still stuck in the same cycle that never seems to end. Why? Because knowledge by itself doesn't build wealth. Systems do, habits, mindsets, and perhaps most importantly, access does. Let's start with the basics. When we talk about financial literacy, what are we really talking about? Usually, it's the ability to understand basic financial principles. Things like budgeting, debt management, saving for retirement, understanding credit, and reading company statements. It's the kind of education that says, here's how money works. And yes, it's critical. We all need it, especially in a world where so many people were never taught anything about money growing up. In this modern school system that teaches you about cell division, but doesn't tell you how to read a basic financial stub or anything that's more practical in life. So let's be clear, this episode is not a takedown of financial literacy. It's a conversation for a fuller and more complete understanding. Because knowing how money works doesn't automatically mean you know how to use it. And that's the difference. It's the difference between memorizing the rules and knowing how to win. So here's the question we're really going to be unpacking today. If financial literacy isn't enough, what is? Let's fill your pocket. First, we have to talk about behavior. One of the biggest myths in personal finance is that knowledge will change your behavior and make you rich. It doesn't. If it did, no one would ever smoke, no one would ever eat sugar, no one would live above their means. But behavior is complex. It's emotional, it's social, and it's often rooted in fear, trauma, shame, or identity. Most of our financial choices are not made from spreadsheets. They're made from stories we inherited, stories we observed, stories that were never questioned. Stories like, I'm bad with money, or people like me don't invest, or I'll never be wealthy, so why bother? Financial education doesn't erase these stories. Self-awareness does, therapy does, coaching can, and community often can as well. So let me give you an example. You can teach someone how to budget, but if they grew up in a household where money was scarce, where bills were always behind, then that person might always have an emotional response to money that no spreadsheet can fix. They might overspend to feel in control, or underspend out of fear, or avoid money altogether because it triggers anxiety. Financial literacy doesn't reach that deep, but behavioral changes does. This is why so many people can know what to do and still not do it. It's because they're not lazy. It's not because they're dumb. It's because the deeper parts of their identity haven't been addressed. And that brings us to the next layer, psychology. To build real wealth, you don't need to just understand money. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand what drives you, what scares you, what your default settings are when you're stressed. Do you spend impulsively when you're sad? Do you avoid your bank account app when you're anxious? Do you attach your worth to your income? These are not financial questions. They're just human questions. And until we address them, no amount of financial literacy will ever change your life. And that goes on to the next layer, the environment. It's about access, systems. Because here's the unfortunate thing. It's easier to talk about budgeting than it is to talk about wealth inequality. It's easier to teach people how to save than to ask why wages haven't gone up. It's easier to tell people to pull themselves up than to ask people why they were never given boots in the first place. You can know everything there is to know about money, but if you don't have access to housing, if you're crushed by student debt, if you live in a financial desert with no good banks, no mentors, no safety net of resources, then you're not starting from the same place. And yet, We give everyone the same advice and act surprised when it doesn't work. You can't budget your way out of a broken economy. You can't financial literacy your way out of a corrupt system. You can't outsave the lack of opportunity. So if we want to talk about true wealth building, we have to look beyond the individual. We have to zoom out. That means taking a look at access to capital. It means understanding how wealth compounds differently when you already have access to assets. It means admitting that two people can follow the same advice and end up with vastly different results. And that's why we need more than financial literacy. We need strategy, we need networks, we need community, mindset, accountability, and most importantly, we need hope and vision. Because here's the thing, financial literacy can tell you what to do, but it can't always tell you why it matters. And that's where vision comes in. What are you building towards? What does wealth mean to you? Is it freedom? Is it stability? Is it the ability to walk away? Is it time with your kids? The freedom to travel? The power to say no? Without a clear vision, financial education becomes homework. But with vision, it becomes power and it becomes personal. So here's what I want to offer to you. No more tactics, but a shift, a reorientation of how we think about money. It's not a checklist, but a tool. Not something to chase, but something to make. Not as a measure of our worth, but a reflection of our alignment. If you've been on the journey, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube channels, but still feel stuck, this might be why. Because information alone is never transformative. Only integration is. Financial growth requires you to do more than just read. It requires you to reflect, to question, and to act. And to keep acting even when it is slow. There is no one path, but there are common themes. Some people need to work on behavior, others on mindset. Others just need to start asking for help. Others need to stop DIYing their life and learn to delegate. Others need to stop hoarding money and start investing, while others need to stop investing and start spending. There's no one-size solution. So, what are your systems? Do they support your goals? Do they protect your time? Do you even know what your systems are? The reason this episode is titled Financial Literacy is not enough is that I want to add to the real conversation of practical financial literacy. I want to stop acting like more knowledge is the only answer, because this is about more than just money. It's about design. It's about living with a dream in mind. Financial literacy might get you started, but it won't get you there. You need resilience, you need vision, you need community, you need strategy, and you need courage. So here's what I want to leave you with today. The first, your financial reality isn't necessarily a reflection of your intelligence. It's a reflection of your environment, your habits, your beliefs, your will, your conviction, and your dreams. Second, you don't have to wait until you know everything to begin. Start where you are with what you have and who you are today. Take one small action, not after your paycheck, not after you finish that book. And number three, remember that money is just like paint, and you're an artist. You are the one who decides what kind of life you'll be making. Financial literacy isn't a starting line, but the race, the real race, is will, resolve. It's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's strategic. You don't need to just learn about money. You need to learn about power. And you need to believe you're ready. Thank you for listening. Until next time.